Hello, everyone, and welcome to your week 7. This week we're going to be doing saute. I love the saute. It's a great assignment. I love to work the saute station, but again, it could be very intense, right? When it gets busy, Chef Eric knows this, and I know because I still work saute with the place I work, and I also kind of help with the grill. So it could be really intense, like I said. But before we get to that, I want to take a few minutes and talk about your week 6. Doing your poaching assignment, your beurre blanc sauce, right? It's a wonderful sauce. I hope you guys liked it. And I also want to bring Chef Eric and Chef Suzanne. They've been doing a wonderful job, grading. Thank you, chefs, for doing this live session for me last week. I had to go away, but I'm happy to be back with you guys. I really miss you, but you know what? Sometimes things happen that we can't control. Chef Eric, welcome. Chef Suzanne, how are you today?
Doing very well, Chef. Thank you. Yeah, it was our pleasure. Holding down the fort, no worries, right? These guys were very good, and on point with their assignments, which is awesome. Let's keep working on those texting of instructions as to where that seems to be the big hang up for a lot of people. Remember, guys, it's all about the technique, not really your ingredients, and not, time frames, temperatures, things like that. Okay, so definitely temperatures when it comes down to your finished product, right? Your protein, keeping it between that temperature, whether you did fish, chicken, what have you. You want to make sure that you bring that up to the appropriate temperature, right? And then poaching, remember 160 to 180. Try not to go above it. Okay, who can tell me? A quick pop quiz. What do you think? Who can tell me what boiling point is? Boiling temperature of liquid.
Travis, go ahead. The water. Yes, go ahead. Let me unmute you. Hold on a second. We can't hear what you're saying. There you go. Okay. Hold on. We keep.
Okay. There we go. The boiling temperature of water is 185, isn't it?
Nope. Nope. Somebody else? Brian?
212 degrees.
Yes, 212 degrees. That's correct. It's sea level. Yes.
Awesome. Thank you, Ryan. So yeah, guys, keep working at that, right? Because you don't want that to go that high. Okay, you don't want it to anywhere near that temperature. You want it just nice, good, even, slow kick. Because what happens when it's boiling, you got everything bouncing around like crazy, and then your protein is going to probably end up looking like shredded meat. So keep that in mind. But you guys did awesome. Just keep practicing those flavors, right? Get the best descriptions possible as to where those are meant to be flavor profiles, what it actually tastes like. If somebody doesn't know what a lemon tastes like, try not to describe it as lemony, okay? You can best way to describe a lemon is going to be it's citrus, right? That's what it is. So it kind of has this nice, good citrus flavor to it. So use that flavor wheel. It's there for your guys' convenience. Don't put, it was delicious. It was very flavorful. It tasted great. It's like those are personal opinions. Try and keep it direct to what you're actually tasting, right? Because you want to taste each one of these parts of your assignments separate, right? So that way you can build that final product and that final plating. So that way it has this wonderful cohesive flavor together. Okay. Off to you, Chef Suzanne.
Thank you, Chef. Hi, everybody. I'm just going to kind of piggyback a little bit on what Chef Eric just said. So something else to be thinking about is when you are turning in your assignment, make sure you're double checking the pictures that you need. So we do like seeing some extra pictures of other things that you may be doing, but be very selective. So just because you took 14 pictures of your chicken on the plate doesn't mean you have to turn in all 14 pictures, right? So if you just need to have maybe the best photo, not this is my chicken, here's my chicken 3 seconds later, 11 seconds after that, right? Just the one picture. So just make sure, because what happens is we get to looking at all these and go, well, here is 30 pictures of their chicken, but they forgot to take a picture of their finished vegetables, right? So what that does is it kind of makes you pay more attention to what you're taking photos of. So just something else to think about when you're doing that. And I do have a very short presentation this week because we did, as always, see some amazing photos. Chef Eric and I both do. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes,
awesome.
Chef.
All right.
Wow.
So I know, right? And Phil also had an awesome photo of his mise en place. So this is something else I was going to bring up because I had forgotten I had this in here. When you do your mise en place, we don't need one photo of your carrots and another one of your celery. Put them all together, get everything measured and portioned, boom, one photo. It makes it much easier for you, makes it easier for us to kind of scroll through it all versus 15 different photos of everything. Just get it all together like a cooking show on TV. Everything is all in the little containers, and you can get resourceful and get them all on a plate like Phil did with all of his seasonings there in the bottom on a plate.
Wow.
All right, look at that.
Beautiful sauce.
Gorgeous. And that looks like some crispy salmon skin on the top. Is that what I'm thinking that is, chefs?
That is correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely gorgeous.
And
Patrick
It's
here also.
pretty.
I know, right? And that sauce looks just to die for with some more beautiful mise en place. William has really great creative plating. I love to see all that. Looks like he did fish and it looks like he poached some shrimp also. Also saw folks poaching scallops this week and then lots of chicken. So lots of variety that I saw. I'm sure you did too, Chef Eric.
Oh yeah, look at that sauce though.
it's
Wow.
amazing, chef. That's just perfect. The texture, it's just perfect.
Yep. So that's all I had this week. I didn't have a whole lot, but just some beautiful ones to show. And there was definitely others I could have put in, but I was kind of running out of time. So I want to make sure I got this done for to show off some photos. So some great classwork again.
Thank you, chef. And as much we want to show all your work, I mean, we just can't, right? Because there's so many beautiful dishes, but you got to be proud. You have to be proud because you know what? It's only, 5 weeks we've been doing this or 6? And look what you guys are doing in. This is amazing. I can't wait until I see you guys finish this class. I mean, it's amazing work. You guys got to keep going, right? So I want to hear from you guys. What do you think about your sauce, about this poaching technique? I know in the past some students have, like I mentioned, chef, I didn't really like the color of my fish or the chicken, right? Well, and that's okay because you're going to see this week, if you were to cook the same protein that you poached last week in the saute pan, I mean, the color is going to be different. The texture is going to be different, and even the flavor you're going to develop there. So that's why it's so important as a chef to understand and really master all the cooking techniques. When you're building your menu, you can really choose the best item for that particular technique. So who wants to share your experience making the sauce and poaching your protein? How things went? Anybody?
Yeah, we got Benjamin, Paul, and Tiffany. So let's go with Benjamin first.
Yes.
Yeah.
Benjamin.
Go for it.
Chef, Chef Eric and Chef Caesar, when I was doing my sauce, when I did because I asked Chef Eric if I could use red onion because my white onions, they decided to go bad. So he's like, yeah, you can use them. Well, when I was, sweating them and stuff, he fair warned me that said, he's like, hey, it's going to turn a little different color. And I'm like, okay. Well, it turned like a little pink, like a pink color. And then when I started adding the butter, it got real thin. And then I kept on adding the more butter and I realized, whoa, it's getting real thick. So I took it, I poured it out into a little, the water, like the measuring cups that you use for water or liquid. And I let it sit. I kept it hot. But I let it sit and then I poured it over after I poached my chicken and stuff. And it came out really, really good. And it gave more flavor to the chicken too, as well.
Yes.
And I was just blown away by it.
Actually, you know what, Benjamin? You can actually make like a barouche with a red wine sauce. Instead of making it a white, you can make like a pink beurre blanc, and that's okay. And that's mostly for like red meats, right?
Right.
Also, this sauce, I'm sure Chef told you last week, is a very basic sauce. Once you master this technique of making this beurre blanc, you can add other ingredients at the end, like a Cajun spice at the end, or maybe add some kind of herb puree to make like a green beurre blanc, or even some lemon zest, or even lemon juice or lime, right? So once you get it, you can add more ingredients at the end to make a different flavor sauce. So remember that. You can do that, all right?
Yeah, because I wasn't for sure if I could add a little, because we like spicy stuff. So I didn't know if I could add Any
You,
of that
you could, yeah, in
spice,
the future, if you want to make like a
sauce.
Cajun beurre blanc, hey, feel free to do it. Maybe chipotle peppers, right? And
Okay.
you can do that. Yes, of course. Yeah, just keep that in mind. Hey,
All right. Thanks.
you're next, Paul.
Hey, Chef. How you doing?
Doing well, thank you.
I was getting confused with the recipe and the picture thing. And me and my wife got in a little argument about the flavor wheel last night. A big argument, actually. But the poaching process. Now, I've been in the kitchen for 25 years, working off and on. Poaching, now, said one of the pictures had to be at the temperature of the water, and then when it tells you, when you're looking at the recipe, it tells you to put the chicken in there, then fill it with water. But being a breakfast chef, I've been around the breakfast kitchen a lot. I've poached many eggs.
Mm-hmm.
I don't crack the egg in the bottom of the pan and fill it with water.
No, you're right. You get the water hot first, right? So it's a little bit different when you poach an eggs, when you poach a fish. When you poach like a fish or chicken, you want to start with a cold water, right?
Right, which I did.
Mm-hmm.
And then I brought the water up to temperature. Mm-hmm. Then I placed the protein. I made chicken. I placed the chicken down in there after the water was up to temperature. It turned out very juicy and delicious. And you could taste the flavors of the court bouillon. Mm-hmm. But I didn't know. I didn't understand. It kind of threw me off a little bit. That's why when I did it, I was scratching my head a little bit, and I brought the water up to temperature first.
Mm-hmm. What do you brought it up to?
I brought it up to 160 exactly. Yeah. And then it bounced between 160, 165.
Because what happens when you get the water hot and you put your item in there, you're going to see like a lot of foam coming from the inside, right? Because the protein is going to shrink really right away when you put it in the hot water or the liquid. And then you're going to see like, it gets a little bit tougher too. But again, if it worked for you, I mean, usually we don't do that with fish. But again, when it comes with the eggs, you got the water like, kind of, hot. You don't wait there to like, with the water cold. I mean, it would take forever to cook breakfast, right? Right. But that's how do you like the flavor, of your finished product? Do you like the flavor of the chicken?
It turned out it was it was very tender, juicy in the middle. And it wasn't. I mean, it was cooked perfectly. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was. I mean, when I cut it open, you could taste the flavors of the court bouillon. It was very, very tasteful.
Nice. And keep in mind, you can also poach with different liquids too, right? Not just the court bouillon. This is like the classic French way to do it. But if you kind of look up at maybe a Thai recipe, where you're gonna see like they do a lot of poaching with coconut milk, right? Like shrimp or chicken. So you can also use different liquids to poach your protein, your vegetables, even fruit. Like when you do like a poached pear, right? Well, you make like a syrup, right? A simple syrup, then you poach your pears in there. So you want to see that there's like other ways to poach your items, not just only court bouillon.
All right. Thank you, Chef.
You're welcome. Brittany? Brittany?
Yeah, Chef. I didn't have, I live in a dry county, and so I didn't have no wine. And I didn't have the dry white wine.
And that's okay, Brittany. I mean, you could just use the lemon juice. You need some kind of acid there, right? The wine is going to add more flavor to your liquid, right? But if you don't have it, if you don't, if you cannot drink wine, whatever, you can just use a little bit of vinegar, like white vinegar, just some lemon juice, right? Or like cut a lemon in half and then put it in there, squeeze it. And that's going to be good enough because you want some kind of acid to break down the protein. And again, wine has a little acid too, and also adds more flavor to your liquid. But that's
for my beurre blanc, or however you say that, and
beurre blanc, your butter sauce.
That and my court bouillon, I just used cooking white wine. I think it may be a little bit different. Okay,
there is a difference. When you use a cooking wine, those cooking wines have a lot of salt added to them. I really don't like using those because if you're going to make a reduction with for example, for use beurre blanc sauce, it might be too salty.
It was.
It's better to use, yes, because it has a lot of salt. So if you taste the wine, it's very salty. And most of the time, a lot of chefs do not like to use the wine in the restaurant. We use like an expensive drinking wine because it's going to give you better results. As the chef, you want to control the seasons, right? You don't want to start like when you make your chicken stock too. We didn't add any salt, right? Because we do that at the end. The same thing with your butter. You're going to season that once it's done. If you start with a very salty wine, when you reduce that, it's going to be even more salty, right? And that's why it
Yeah.
might be a little too salty for you. But that's something you want to keep in mind for the future.
Well, next time I think I'm just gonna go to, cause I'm gonna go to Oklahoma and get some actual wine, so
Okay,
maybe it'll be better, and retry my sauce.
sure. You're going to love it. You're going to love it. When they're drinking wine, it's going to be really good. You're gonna taste it. I mean, you're gonna taste the wine actually in the sauce when you reduce it.
With me being pregnant, does it cook down like
Well,
the?
okay. I mean, a lot of alcohol is gonna burn off, but not all of it. So you're gonna have some little bit of alcohol left in the reduction.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Cool. So
Thank
be
you.
careful with that. Yes.
You can actually get alcohol-free
Yes.
wine.
Wine. Yeah.
Oh, you can?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, that's what I'll do then.
Okay. Thank you, Eric Stevenson, and then we'll have Benjamin. Eric. Eric. Go ahead, Eric. I got you unmuted already. Go ahead.
Okay. How you doing, Chef?
Doing well. Thank you.
I'm actually got started on my assignment late due to the fact that my kit was sent to the previous address. So
Okay.
I'm actually finishing my last bit of my assignment now, and I was wanting to know, like, I did my sauce, and after completing my sauce, it changed colors a little bit. I did everything to a T. So just for plating it as well, do I have to go back and do my sauce over a little bit different so it could look a different texture?
Oh, okay. What is the color? It's like a little brownish.
Like a little bit, not too much heavy brownish, but
Okay. Well, you're using what kind of pan were you using? What kind of whisk?
um
Is that aluminum pan and a metal whisk?
I had, yes sir, stainless steel pan in the
Okay.
middle with.
That's probably why. When you do like that, the friction, it turns things a little brown, right? If you were to like in the restaurant, like those aluminum sheet pans, right? If you like rub that with like a little those green scrubbies, you get some brown stuff, and that's what happens when you're like trying to rub in with the whisk and the aluminum pan and like a stainless steel whisk becomes a kind of brownish because of this, from the friction that you're doing it. So maybe you can use like a plastic whisk next time to kind of whisk,
Okay, yeah, I just got it.
your butter sauce, and that's gonna prevent that.
Okay,
But
thank
you know
you,
what? It's a learning experience, right? You learn
Chef.
something.
It definitely is. It
See?
definitely is.
So yeah, you know what? Anytime something does not come out the way you're supposed to, there's a reason behind it. If when you ask questions, you're gonna know these answers, and that's why I tell you guys to write all this questions in your narrative for Chef Suzanne and Chef Eric to give you feedback and hey, this is how you fix it next time.
Thank you, Chef.
Excellent. One more, and then we want to start with a week 7. Benjamin.
Yeah, I had a quick question because
Mhm.
I think it was Phil that said something about the Court Bouillon
Mhm.
and the flavor. Could I I thought about this the other night after I did my Court Bouillon. Thought about making a Cajun or a Mexican flavored Court Bouillon. Could I do that?
You can, of course. Like I say, you can put some Cajun in there. Like, okay, when you're like making a liquid to like, okay, cook some shrimp, right? You're
Right.
adding other ingredients, right? Like bay leaves, some lemons, and peppercorns, maybe some like like a Old Bay season or Cajun, right? You can do that, and that's gonna add more flavor to your protein. So yes, you can do that. Remember,
Okay.
think about technique, not so much recipes. You can change the recipes all day long, but
Right.
as long as you stick to the technique, that's what we want.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks, Phil.
So I'm glad you guys did a great job. So for week 7, you guys, remember, you have your second class to start today. And I'm going to show you how to get to that class in a little bit here. Go to your dashboard. You're going to see here, if you your courses, you're going to see CU129 food service management class. Also, you can find, and it's a little drop down. Okay, you're going to see your CU101 and CU129, right? you're gonna have myself and Chef Suzanne for this class. And in this class, we'll have a live session on Thursdays. Every Thursday night at 6 p.m. So tomorrow we're gonna have a live session, right? In this class, to me, it's very simple, right? You don't have major assignments to do. All you gotta do is do your readings, right? And then you want to take this knowledge check. You can take this as many times you want. So one of the things I recommend doing is to kind of do this class, get it out of the way, and then you focus on your CU 101 with the cooking, right? So I would definitely go here, do the reading, take your knowledge check, and then we join us tomorrow for the live session. And I mean, you're gonna be fine. So don't worry. But it's important that you put some more time aside to work on this class, right? Because as you can see, you got like 4 readings to do. How to write resume, interviewing, okay, also planning your career and hiring, right? It's very important. And then you just do your knowledge check and you're done, right? So make sure you also log in there and start working on this class as well. It's very, very important, okay? Now week 7, you guys, we're doing saute, right? This is gonna be a fun week. I know some of you guys already did your assignment for this week, like Travis says, like, I'm done. Well, look, you have 2 knowledge checks. And listen, guys, I see some of you guys are not going back to take the knowledge check again. If you got a low grade, go back and retake it. Don't settle for that. Also, remember I told you guys when you get to your finishing week, you're gonna see a final exam and with questions that come from this knowledge check. So the more you take them, the better off you're gonna be when you get to the final, right? I want you guys to get an A too. So don't forget to take both of them, your knowledge check and also your conversions knowledge check. This week we have a discussion, right? Remember, these discussions are worth a lot of points, 15% of your grade. So if you don't do this discussion, when I go on Friday to put in a 0 next week or on Wednesday, your grades are gonna drop. We don't want that. So let's go take a look at this discussion real quick. It has to do with your favorite ingredient that you have for cooking, right? I'm sure a lot of you guys already did it, which is good. So you go and answer these questions, right? What is your favorite ingredient, right? It could be garlic, it could be sugar, it could be like olive oil, whatever you like to cook with, whatever's your favorite ingredient. For example, mine is saffron. Okay, then how do you use this ingredient in the dishes you make? How do you use it? And also, tell me where this ingredient originated from. Was that it came from India, from Asia, from South America, or whatever? You want to do a little research, just go on Google and you're going to see, okay, this is my ingredient, this is where it came from. Once you answer those questions, okay, you also need to go back and respond to 2 classmates. Your first post is going to be 8 points, and then each one that you do after that is 1 point each. So remember, you need to wait a few minutes. A lot of students are like, they do the initial one, and then they're trying to go back and they don't see it. So listen, wait till it's 5 minutes, right? And then you can go back and respond to 2 students. And then you're going to see, oh my God, maybe somebody else, likes the same ingredient as you. And I can see that some of you guys already done it. So great job with that. See, I have 1 hand that went up. Let me stop sharing here. I think with Sarah. Sarah, you got a question?
Yeah, Chef.
Go ahead, please.
Just wanted to kind of throw it out to classmates there, very respectfully. When it comes to those discussion questions that are either for extra credit or just part of what is required of us that week, it's really important for all of us to kind of not wait until the last minute to do that, so that we all have something to respond to in order to be able to complete our assignment. Yes. I find myself searching for those at the last minute sometime to try to have somebody to respond to.
Yes, because you're like kind of put up in groups, right? If you don't have any of your classmates do there, so you can't really get the point. So make sure you guys get this done, at least the first post by Saturday, right? Along with your knowledge checks. Get out of the way. And then you can come back and then you start your cooking Sunday, and then you go back and finish your response on Monday, right? So it is very important that you start managing your time better, because you're going to deal with the second class too, remember. So it is very important that you pass both of these classes. We are not to the home stretch, 5 more weeks and we're done. So another thing too, I know some of you guys, for whatever reason, have missed like 1 or 2 weeks. Remember, right now is the best time to start thinking about making those up. You have 3 makeup assignments. If you go all the way to the bottom of your class page, you're going to see that, right? And make sure that you use this all the way down here. Okay, you're going to see makeup work, right? 1, 2, and 3. If you missed your week 5 or week 6, hey, get it done, put it in here ASAP, because we need to get those graded, and you need those points for your grade to go up. So don't panic. You can still do it, but make sure you plan to get it done within the next couple weeks. I'm going to be doing like an academic plan for those students who are missing some work. I usually send them out by this Friday. I tell you, okay, you're missing this, you got to get it done by this. Okay, so make sure you keep an eye on those, especially if you're missing something. I'm going to tell you what to do and by when. So remember, it is very important you keep going strong. So again, that's what for your discussion. Okay, again, look at this. I want you guys to do your initial post by Saturday night, and then respond to 2 classmates. You know, you can do it the same night or the same day, but wait a few minutes, and then you go back. You know, I would definitely get it done like in the same day, right? You do your initial post, you walk away, you come back, and then you just go and respond, and then you're done with it, right? The sooner the better. So we are doing saute this week, right? So what we're gonna be doing a protein, right? So what is saute? Can anybody tell me what literally means to saute? The term saute means from your reading? Anybody remembers that? All right. Well, it means to jump, right? Because when you're like tossing the items in the pan, right? Your vegetables, they kind of jump up in the air. But you're not going to be doing it all the time, right? Because when you're going to be doing your whatever, chicken breast or shrimp, you're not going to be just tossing the item in there. No. Cooking is very hard, right? You want your pan to do the work. So I'm going to kind of explain to you guys in a little bit how to really saute your items for this week, right? So this sauteing is considered a dry cooking technique, right? Last week we did poaching in the liquid. That's considered a moist cooking method. This is a dry because we're using high heat, very small amount of oil, right? And that's a dry cooking method, right? So what pan to use? I know at home, we don't expect you guys to have this fancy saute pans. We don't need to do either in the business. What we use most of the time in the restaurant setting is aluminum pan, right? Those are less expensive, easy to clean, and they really transfer heat very nicely, okay? If you have, like a Teflon pan, it's gonna do the job, but those Teflon pans are not meant to withhold or resist high heat. Why? Because sometimes when you saute an item, like for example, I take pork chop or a chicken breast with a bone in, you're gonna have to put this pan in the oven. And when you do that, the Teflon kind of gives off some toxic fumes when it gets very hot, right? Also, you're gonna be ruining the pan very easy because you're gonna be, you're gonna put it on high heat. So, Teflon pans are gonna be okay, but most of the time in the restaurant setting, we use those for breakfast, cooking eggs, right? And believe me, when those line cooks for breakfast are done, they hide those. They don't want nobody else to touch them because once you get them scratched, you can't cook eggs in them. So you also might see copper pans. Those are very expensive. I mean, they're very expensive. They really conduct heat very nice, but I'm not, you might not see those because you got to take care of those really well. I work in a French restaurant one time when I was very young. You had to polish those every day. It was not easy. Once you were done, you had to take your set of pans and make them shiny because if you didn't do that, next morning when the chef walked in, the first thing he did was check those all your saute pans. If something was not right, you knew it. He was like going crazy, right? Because he got those from France. I mean, those were expensive. So you might not see those used a lot in the restaurant business. Another thing too, stainless steel. I mean, the stainless steel is kind of, it's a little bit more money, but it's also not very even heat, right? You might have some hot spots and some cold spots. You're going to find this out too this week when you saute, okay? And then your burners, you're going to see that some of your, maybe one side of your chicken breast or whatever is going to brown a little quicker. So that's another way that you need to learn to know your equipment, right, at home. So if you have an aluminum pan, it's going to do the job. Even a Teflon pan is going to work fine this week, right? Also, another thing to remember, what kind of fat, right? What kind of oil to use? Different oils have different smoke points. So I'm going to show you this little, in my folder here, you're going to see this. It's a little pamphlet or whatever you want to call it, with the different types of oils and also the smoke points, right? When they get this hot, for example, the highest one is avocado oil. This can get to 510 degrees before it starts to smoke. And you don't want to get it like that either, right? You don't want to get your oil to be smoking, because what happens, that means it's burning. And what comes next is a flash point. It catches on fire. We don't want that, right? It's something that you will need to think about safety. So I'm not telling you guys to go and buy avocado oil because it's very expensive. You can use vegetable oil, right? You can see this. Corn oil is fine. Soybean, those are fine. You can heat them up to 440 degrees, right, before they start to smoke. So you got to think about that. Butter, guess what? Butter, especially whole butter, is not going to work because, it's going to start to burn right away. And when you sauteing something, your pan is going to be very, very hot, right? It's high heat, small amount of oil. And the item that you're going to be cooking is going to be cooked very quick, right? So that's why we need to think about the oils we're using. You know what? Another thing you might see, like olive oil. Olive oil is not really used for sauteing because, one, it's very expensive, and then also doesn't have a high smoke point. Most of the time, olive oil is used to make like a dressing, or just like for dipping your bread, or just when you salad, right? And it's not widely used to saute because the price point too, or avocado oil. Most of the time in the restaurants that you're going to be seeing chefs use corn oil or vegetable oil because it's less expensive, right? So that's what to keep in mind. The type of oil you're going to be using for saute, you want to make sure it's not going to burn when you're really doing your cooking, because otherwise, once you start burning it, it's going to taste like the flavor is going to change. It's going to affect the flavor of your dish that you're cooking, right? So, what the proteins that you want to saute, right? Usually, we're going to do something that's very tender, right? For example, chicken breast, some shrimp, some scallops, piece of pork tender, some thin sliced pork chops, right? You don't want to be cooking, something that's like very, tough and huge, because it's going to take a long time. Sauteing is a fast and quick cooking method. So you think about, the protein, also the size, right? You're going to be cutting some vegetables this week, some batonette, right? It's your knife skills is so important. If you're making like a stir fry with chicken, you want to cut those pieces uniform. If you have some big piece of chicken, some little ones, you know what, they're not going to cook even. The little ones are going to overcook, while the big ones are going to be like not cooked. So, knife skills is so really, really important when you're, doing your assignment. So remember that. Another thing you might read, and you're reading, to coat your product with a little flour or not to, right? Well, that really depends on you. Most of the time when we do that, it's when you're like, for example, cooking a fish like cod that has a lot of water, and you want to get a nice crisp texture. You're gonna kind of dry it up and kind of toss in some seasoned flour, right? And then you're gonna saute that. A lot of times I don't do that. When I'm cooking like a chicken breast, I just dry my chicken breast really nice, season it, and get it nice and golden brown. Chefs, let me ask you this: do you ever coat your chicken breast or like maybe scallops when you're sauteing those at all, or you just do?
Just straight the pan is the only thing that gets fat, right? And then make sure that that's good and hot. Usually my protein's going to be around room temperature. It sits out for a minute, so that way it takes that good chill off of it a little bit, and then you get that nice beautiful sear on there.
Chef Suzanne, what about you?
That sounds exactly. I think Chef Eric's been watching me cook, but I'm not for sure.
Another time that we might toss your protein in some flours when making a scallopini, right? If you have some veal or pork tenderloin pound really thin, if you want to get a really nice browning and you don't want to overcook the piece, right? Also, it helps to thicken up your sauce, right? When you make a pan sauce, for example, you're doing a pork or veal marsala. Sometimes you kind of toss the veal on the medallions or in a scallopinis and some flour, shake it off, and you brown real quick, right? And that helps to also thicken up your pan sauce you're gonna be making this week. So again, it's up to you. Like I say, if you do like a chicken breast, I would not add any flour, okay? Or scallops, especially scallops. Make sure you dry them really nice. You don't want the oil to splatter. So when you start sauteing, chicken, whatever, dry it up with some paper towels. Season it really nice, salt and pepper, and then goes in the pan. Another thing to remember: if you're cooking, like chicken breast, you will always start cooking the chicken breast on the side that had the skin, right? So because that's a presentation side. If it has a skin, the same way too. With fish, it's actually the opposite. If you don't have the skin in the fish, you're gonna start cooking the fish on the side, the opposite side from the skin. the side that has the bones, because on the skin side, if you took the skin off, you're gonna see some fat, some little like brownish, especially salmon. So you always start cooking fish on the side that had the bones, because that will be your presentation side. Cool. Travis, I see you have your hand up, and then Bridget.
Okay, I have a question that's been bugging me. I see it on menus all the time. What is the difference between chicken fried steak and chicken fried chicken?
Okay, like a fried chicken, you mean?
Well, they have their veal patties, but when you go look at the menu, it says chicken fried chicken or chicken fried steak.
You know what? That's like a term they use in the South. I mean, it's the same thing, right? One might be deep fry and one might be pan fry, right?
It is a Southern thing, but one of them, the breading process is exactly the same, but one of them is like a cube steak and one of them is chicken.
Yeah. So I don't know why. It's probably for like marketing purposes. It's like the way they market their items, right? And that's, I mean,
I'm thinking more, he's probably thinking country fried steak and chicken fried steak, because those are pretty much interchangeable. Now, as far as like Sarah just said, when you're looking at chicken fried steak and chicken fried chicken, one is chicken, one is beef. But country fried and chicken fried, they're about the same.
Yeah. Cool. Bridget, Louis.
Hi, Chef.
How are you?
I'm good. It's a problem if I just use a chicken drumstick or chicken breast to do the fried chicken without.
For next week, you mean?
Yes.
For next week you can do fried chicken, but for this week you want to saute maybe like a chicken breast or maybe some shrimp.
I make a chicken drumstick.
For this week?
Yes, week 7.
Well, I mean, that's gonna take a little longer, okay? Because you have the bone in there. It's gonna be hard to saute because it's gonna take longer. You might have to finish in the oven. You know, I would definitely do that for next week. Hold up for next week, and you can fry that because we're doing frying next week. So I would recommend to try a chicken breast this week.
Okay, but I know how to make it already.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay, well, if it works for you, it's fine. I mean, if it's nicely done, if it's nice and golden brown, hey, that's okay then.
Yes, I finish it and I take the temperature inside to say it's coconut. When I finish, I try it. It's crispy outside and juicy inside. You taste the season and it's.
Okay, let me ask you this: do you finish your chicken legs in the oven? Do you finish them off in the oven?
No, I don't put it in the oven. I just put it in the oil.
Okay, that's fine. And many times, you guys, when you're working in a basic kitchen, if you like sauteing like a lot of items, like chicken breast or fish, you might like throw those in the oven to finish up. Finish cooking. Once you flip it over, it goes in the oven, and then you kind of make some more room to keep cooking, right? So that's something that you could do, and you probably do in the future when you get to work in the restaurant, because you might not have enough space on the burners to like finish cooking the chicken breast before you make the sauce, right? So you put it in the oven to start another thicker, and then once the chicken breast is done, you take it out and you start making your pan sauce. So this is something you probably will see when you work in the basic kitchen. Okay. Another thing to remember I was talking about seasoning, right? So you definitely need to season your protein before it goes in the pan. So after you dry really nice with a paper towel, you don't want to have a lot of moisture, because what happens when you mix water and oil? It splashes, right? Chef Eric's laughing. He burned himself one time with that, working in the saute, right, Chef? And it's you got to think about safety. That's why wearing shoes, right? When you drop your chicken, right, and in the pan, I mean, just think that this is a pan, right? And this is your chicken breast, right? So you want to drop it down, okay? And just let it drop to the back of the pan, right? Don't drop it to the front, because what happens, the oil is on you. So this is your chicken, this is your pan, put it down and let it drop, okay? What's going to happen when you put your protein in the pan? It's going to stick to the pan. Don't try to wrestle your chicken breast off the pan. Let it cook. Let it do its thing. Otherwise, you're going to rip it apart. When it's ready to be flipped over, you can just pick from one end with your tongs, lift it up, and it's going to come off the pan, right? That's going to happen. Don't mess around with it. Same thing when you're cooking fish, right? It's going to stick. But then once it's ready to be, flipped over, it's going to come off the pan real easy. Once it gets nice and crispy, that bottom side, you can lift it up. it's not going to be stuck to the pan at all. So remember, do not wrestle. Don't mess with chicken, right? Put it down, let it cook for a minute and a half or 2 minutes, and then you're going to, kind of pick it up from one end with your tongues, and it's going to come off, right? If it's still stuck to the pan, let it go a little more, and then you're going to be able to flip it over. It's not going to be stuck in the pan. It's going to just come off, right? And that's what you want to do. Another thing you're going to be seeing is, in cooking, there's a lot of science. You're going to see something called the Maillard reaction, right? And this is what happens when the reducing sugars and amino acids start to caramelize, right? So if you look at this picture, excuse me, right here, when you put down your chicken breast, you're going to see something called fond, right? All this browning, this is all flavor, right? This is sugars that caramelize. And this is how you're going to be making your sauce, right? So when you flip the chicken over, you're going to see where the chicken was, right? Nice and a lot of browning. So this is called the Maillard reaction. I also have a little video here for you guys to kind of watch. This was discovered by a French chemist back in 1912 by the name of Louis Camille Maillard. So you can watch a video, and this is how he came along, about to discover this. Also, it happens with anything you bake, like breads, right? Or anything that you cook. When it starts to brown, you're gonna, get the aroma, right? The color is gonna change. So this is called the Maillard reaction, right? Remember that. And this is, like I said, the fun, right? When you're making your pan, you're gonna be making a pan sauce. You're gonna be deglazing the pan. So once your chicken is done, you're gonna remove this from the pan, set it aside to kind of let it rest. If you see a lot of fat in the pan, right, you're gonna defat the pan. Remove some of the oil, not all of it, and then you're gonna start to saute maybe some onions or shallots, right, to make your pan sauce. All right. When you do that, so you have a little oil, get them saute, right. Then you're gonna deglaze your pan with some kind of acid, right. If you look at the recipe here, you see that it's calling for a little white wine. If you don't have that, maybe add a little just lemon juice or just chicken stock to really remove all the fat, the browning in there, right? So that's what you want to do. Then once you saute your shallots or onions, you don't have to have shallots. Onions are fine. And you can do a different sauce. If you want to do some like a mushroom sauce, right? With cream mushroom. You know what? Let's go ahead. Go ahead. Get some cream, saute some mushrooms with little shallots, onions, and then you deglaze the pan with some kind of acid. You could do like maybe apple cider vinegar or just apple cider by itself, or a little vinegar, a little lemon juice, white wine to remove some of the browning. Then you're going to reduce that until it's almost dry. And then you add your liquid. It could be, whatever, chicken stock, or you can do cream to make a cream sauce, right? And then you're going to reduce that. I have some photos here. If you want to try like a chicken piccata or chicken marsala, this is the way you do it, right? With some mushrooms, some herbs. Get like a nice marsala wine. If you want to do like a piccata, right? This is how we do things in the kitchen. You saute your chicken, and then you deglaze. You add some garlic, some capers, some lemons, wine, chicken stock, and you got a piccata sauce, right? So you can do different things. So just think that you can have to follow these recipes, right? This is something that we're open to for you guys to try different things. Sarah, you have a question?
Yes, Chef, thank you. I was just curious. I am traveling next week, and I'm wondering if there is any way to open knowledge checks. I will be doing all of my cooking for the next couple of weeks this weekend.
Send me a message on the side. Remind me so I can take care of that for you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Rylene?
I think I had about 2 questions.
Go ahead, please.
I was thinking about my boyfriend this week and what he liked to eat, and I noticed with the puree using potatoes.
Okay.
I wanted to incorporate like something like a baked potato, like using sour cream, bacon bits, and cheese, like maybe adding that on top or adding that in it. I was wondering if that would be okay.
On top of your potato puree you're gonna be doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do a baked potato, but you have to do your potato puree as well. But you can do a baked potato.
No, not cooking a baked potato. I was gonna do the puree. That was gonna be done, but I was gonna add like the bacon.
Garnish it with the
Yeah.
Go for it.
Okay, and I was wondering if I could use steak also. Would steak be all right? Cause
Yes, you can use the steak as long as it's not very thick. You can cook like a strip steak or maybe like a tenderloin. Yeah, you can do steak.
right. Okay, all right. Thank you.
Cool. Excellent. Great questions. Well, our next thing, you're going to be sauteing some vegetables too. Okay, so if you look at your recipe here, we want you guys to practice your knife skills. Cut them into bassinet, right? So remember, your knife cuts are very important. So, and again, you can do zucchinis. You can do some yellow squash. You can do some carrots. You can do just about any kind of vegetable, like maybe some squash. But you want to cut them uniform, right? So remember that. And to do that, it's going to be easy, right? So oil, your vegetables, salt, and pepper, right? You want to put your pan over medium heat, add some oil, just to cover the bottom. And when you put in your vegetables in there, do not overcrowd the pan. Just one layer, right? You don't want to put too much. Otherwise, what's going to happen, instead of sauteing your vegetables, you're going to steam. And they're going to overcook. You don't want to send something like this. This is not good. You never want to send something like that to a table, right? So this is like way overdone. This is like the stuff my mom used to make for us. Why I never like vegetables, right? They should look something very nice, okay, like this. In these photos, look at that. See, this person did some carrots, nicely done. Look at this, beautiful. Or some zucchinis, right? Make sure you don't put too many, just one layer, right? Otherwise, if you put too much in there, the heat in the pan is going to kind of drop, and then you're going to start steaming those, and you don't want it. You want to have high heat, all right? So remember that. That's for your sauteed vegetables. Any questions, you guys? Brittany?
How would I cut bell peppers? Like in what?
Well, you can cut those into like strips. I mean, you can just cut them into strips, and that's going to be okay, like 2 or 2.5 inches long, and that's fine.
Yeah, or even large dice would work. You know, just like go ahead, make some good 1-inch squares.
Yeah, that too. That too.
Okay. All right.
Cool.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Benjamin.
Yeah, like Sheeta said, how would I we're like a mushroom. We love mushroom and onion. So I know how to do the onion, but how would I do the mushroom?
Because you want to slice them. Slice them like slices, or just cut them in quarters, right?
Okay.
Make sure you cut them the same size, though. Remember that.
Right. Okay.
Cool. Anybody else? We good? This is going to be an easy assignment, you guys. You guys are going to really do a good job. And you can make this in really, I mean, once you have all your mise en place in a half hour. I mean, Travis already got his assignment done. Maybe he can tell you how long it took you. Right, Travis? Come on, you got to mute yourself. We can't hear what you're saying.
It took me a couple hours to do it, but that's, it took me, I don't know, I started at 3 and everything was done by 6 or 7.
See? Yeah, I'm talking about like the cooking process for the chicken and the sauce.
Oh, yeah.
The protein, right?
Actually, the protein cooked rather fast.
Yeah.
The way it was. But what I was going to comment was on the mushrooms, keep an eye on because they will burn and become soggy very, very fast.
Because they have a lot of water.
Thanks, Travis.
Mushrooms have a lot of
I love sauteing mushrooms when I make steaks. That's like everybody likes to saute mushrooms. But yeah, you got to be careful you got to keep an eye on those mushrooms or they will be a lot of water.
All right. Cool. Judy. You're muted, Judy. Hold on a second. Let me help you. Chef, I can't even mute her. She's got her thing like, I don't know.
Chef?
Yes, you're good now. Yes.
Could you use portobello mushrooms and just cut them in the strip?
I love those. Yeah.
Or use
you cut them in the strips. Those are great. I love them. I love portobello mushrooms. They're very meaty and have a really nice flavor.
Could you use portobello if you're doing a marsala sauce?
Oh, yes, of course.
Okay, you just don't have to use the regular button mushrooms for that.
No, you can use baby portobellos. They have those baby ones. You can use those, or the big ones even.
All right, thank you, Chef.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Palacia?
Yes. Hi, Chef. Sorry, that was close enough. I have a question about this week's pan sauce. So I did mine, and I saw the pictures and everything. Mine's a little darker, but that one's not supposed to be nappe, right? And mine was a little runny, but it asked for a picture of it in a spoon. So I'm like, am I missing something? Or
Nappe. Okay, you want to get it to a nappe consistency. So what are the things you can do? At the end, you can throw in some cold pieces of butter and whisk it in. That's going to thicken up the sauce. Or you can make like a little cornstarch slurry and add it. Or just little, just make like a little roux. Okay, once for burning it, you just get like don't cook the roux. If you make like a little pebbles, you take some salt, water, and just flour equal parts, make like little pebbles, and you throw them in there at the end, and then whisk it in. That's gonna help you take up the sauce. But the easiest way to go, just make a little cornstarch slurry and add it, or you can just reduce it too. But the only thing is, when you're using like a chicken stock, if you reduce it down, there's like no gelatin in there. Like especially the stuff you buy at the store. It's just going to evaporate. So it's best if you're using like a chicken stock from the store to use like a little bit of cornstarch slurry. Or if you're making like a cream sauce, cream is going to get thick, right? If you're doing like a cream sauce with maybe some mushrooms or spinach, you don't need to do that. You can add a little cheese, and that's going to help to thicken up the sauce. But yeah, your sauce should have like a nice and nappe consistency, so it's not just runny, liquidy.
okay, I wasn't sure if the pan sauce was supposed to be different.
No, I mean, you can make any kind of.
Thicken up like the last sauces that we had
It's
made.
not thicken up a little like nappe, right? You want to have a nice consistency so it's not too runny in the plate.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, Judy.
Yes, Chef. I was wondering, where did you find that chart that has all the different oil temperatures?
Yeah, you're gonna find it under your. Okay, let me show you. I always give you guys one of this every week. If you go to your class page where it says week 7 photos, you find all the information there. I've been doing one of this for you guys every week. Cool?
All right, thank you,
all right,
Chef.
cool. All right, the last thing you're going to do is your potato puree, Palms puree. This is a very fine, smooth, refined potato puree that you will find in a fine dining restaurant. It's not your typical like grandma mashed potatoes that have like chunks in there, a little lumpy, right? These are very fine and smooth. So like I said, you will find something like this in a fine dining restaurant, right? So let's talk about tubers. Potatoes are considered tuber, which is like the stem of the plant, right? But they go on the ground. And there, so many different kinds. I mean, there's thousands of potatoes, but they all fall into 2 categories: the starchy and the waxy. The difference is, well, the starchy, name implies, has a high starch content, and you want to use those this week to make those nice and smooth potatoes, right? They hold a lot of liquid. They're very fluffy. Or when you're making like a baked potato, like those russet potatoes, those are starchy potatoes. Right, and then you have the waxy ones, like the red potatoes, those like yellow ones, the what are other ones, Chef? The golden potatoes, those are waxy. They have less, starch, a lot more sugars, a lot more water. So those are going to hold the shape much better when you cook this. So this is something that you want to be able to make a better decision. For example, this week you're going to be making a potato puree, but there's no law that says you have to use the starchy ones. It's going to give you a better result, but you know what? Sometimes I've made potato puree with the golden ones, okay? But this week I want you guys to try the starchy ones because they're going to be really fluffy, right? The other ones, I mean, I would use those like when you're making like roasted potatoes, right? Or when you're doing like a potato salad, when you want the potatoes to hold the shape, because wax potatoes hold the shape much better when they're cooked. They don't break down, all right? So this is the difference. And again, there's so many different kinds out there, different colors. I don't know if you ever work with like a sweet Peruvian, like purple potatoes. They're so beautiful. I'm not saying to go find this, but when you go on the store, if you see different potatoes in the future, try them out, right? And you're gonna see that they're like so nice, so and really good. So that's the one thing you want to remember. I would definitely get those Idaho potatoes or russet potatoes this week to make a potato puree. And then puree versus mash, right? Puree is very fine. You're gonna see that the recipe is asking you to push your potatoes through a food meal or even a sieve, right? Once they're done cooking, you want to push them through to break any little tiny lumps, right? And when you do a mash, you just kind of do a rough mash, right? And not, really smooth. And that's okay for, in the future. But I want you guys to try this new way to make potatoes because you're going to probably think a lot different once you've done this, right? And one of the things you want to avoid doing when making potato puree, do not mix them too long because they become like glue, right? Be careful when you like just add in the butter and the cream. Just use a spatula or a whisk, but don't go too long because guess what? Potatoes are also used to make glue in outside the food industry, so they get very, very sticky, and they don't look any good when you whip them too long, right? So just remember that. Also, you want to, this week, manage your time, right? You know the potatoes are going to take a little longer to make, right? So one of the things I want you to remember, I would make the potatoes first. Hold them hot, right? Put them in one of your containers on top of your stove. It's going to be hot. Cover those really nice with a plastic film so they don't get dry. And then you can hold them. And then you can start, cooking your protein. Also, if you reheat those, a lot of times in the restaurants, we might reheat potatoes in the next morning because, you know what, we need them right away. You can put a little cream or milk in the pan and just kind of put the potatoes in there. A lot of times they start heating those up in the microwave, a little cover. But a lot of times you're just going to do it in the pan with a little cream or milk. Okay, so let me show you the recipe for this potato puree, right? It's right here. So it calls for a pound of roasted potatoes, 2 ounces on salted butter, soft, not melted, just room temperature, half a quarter cup of cream, right? So what you're going to do, you're going to peel the potatoes, get all the skins, the eyes removed. You're going to cut them into uniform sizes, all right? Because if you got some big ones, some little ones, you know what's going to happen. The big ones are going to take longer to cook, while the little ones are going to disappear in the water. So when you go and drain those, you're going to have a lot of food waste. You want to avoid that, right? So once the potatoes are done, make sure you test them with your paring knife or a toothpick. It should be easy to stick it in and pull it out, right? All the way down to the center. Drain the potatoes, all right? Kind of let them a little dry. Another thing you might do, you can put the potatoes back in your pan where you cook them and kind of put them on the stove top to remove with a low heat, right? To remove some more of the moisture, right? Because you want to be able to add the cream and the butter. Otherwise, the potatoes are too runny or have too much water. If you cook them for too long, they get waterlogged. You're not going to be able to get some like a nice creamy and smooth potatoes. They're going to be just a lot of water in there. So you want to be careful with that. Then, once you do that, you're going to push the potatoes through a sieve, right? Or maybe a ricer if you have one, or just like a fine strainer. If you do that, just use like a flexible rubber spatula to push them through. You want to make sure you do that when they're hot, right? Or a food meal, if you don't have it, that's okay. The sieve is going to do the job. Then you're going to add the butter and the cream. Make sure you don't add all the cream all at once. The cream should be hot. You want to heat it up and add half of it, right? Sometimes if the potatoes have too much water, they might end up to be too runny, okay? So let me show you some pictures what your potatoes should look like this week. If you look at this folder here, okay, so this is some pictures of potatoes. Look at this. This is your finished product, chicken breast, nice pan sauce. Look at that, beautiful. Use your pastry bag, your piping tips to make a nice presentation. You see another one. See how nice? They're very fluffy, like silky. And I had ones too in the past. They're like, oh, they look like clouds, right? No lumps in there. Chef Eric, you want to say something? I know you do.
Yeah, I was going to say, guys, when it comes down to those finished platings and whatnot, is like if you want to put a whole bunch of different added ingredients like the bacon and cheese, like a prior student said, make sure that you take a picture of your finished hummus puree before you put all that other stuff all over it. Otherwise, us as evaluators can't see that finished product as well, okay?
Look, let me go back and show a few more. Let's look at this. Isn't that beautiful? Look at this. This is the perfect. See how nice those wedges kind of hold? They're not too thick. They're not too runny. They're just perfect. See, you guys can do this too. So make sure you try your best. And again, you can just take a look at this folder, these photos. Those are for you to kind of get an idea how to set everything up, right? And just make a nice finished dish. You guys can do this, right? Anything you would like to ask, Chef Suzanne? I know you always have some great advice.
I do, actually. We had a good question, too, that I figured I'll ask you so that you can jump in, is asking if they can use milk instead of cream in the potatoes. And
yeah.
And I thought somebody asked, but maybe somebody asked me about using something besides potatoes if they can't eat potatoes.
Like what starch you want to use? Maybe like a...
I don't know. That's why I was asking you. So maybe carrots. It
I
might
would say
be.
turnip.
Carrot puree.
Turnip, parsnips are good.
Yeah, you can do any type of, any root would definitely work. Yeah, you can do a puree like that. Sometimes, like celery root too. Remember how sometimes we add celery root puree to potato puree, and that's something you can do. Yes, of course. Even carrots too, right? You can do a carrot puree. I've done it in the past.
Cauliflower.
That too, yes.
Yeah,
Cauliflower.
Philip just mentioned that one. It's a good one.
See? Anybody else? Somebody saying something? You guys, see, Michael, you have a question, Michael.
Yes, I got one. Is that like cauliflower that's all twisted up on the plate?
The cauliflower, it might be too, okay, well, if you, let's see, it might be little bit too wet because, I have a lot of, they're not starchy cauliflower, but you can try to like kind of, pipe it. But if you don't get it too wet, it might work. But again,
so the thing with cauliflower, guys, is let it steam off completely.
Yes, yes.
Don't cook it 100% through. Okay, you still want it to have that nice tenderness to it. Okay, just like you guys' broccoli when you pan steamed it, and then let it steam out. Okay, give it good maybe 5 minutes to let it steam out, and then add your warm liquid to it. If you add warm liquid to it, it helps actually kind of build a little bit of body. So as to where my mom, she doesn't eat much starched ingredients, and I always have to cook some cauliflower puree for her. And I've kind of played around with it to where if you use heavy cream and you try and whip the heavy cream first and get some sort of body out of your heavy cream first, you're going to be able to then fold that into your actual cauliflower to create a little bit more height from it.
Thank you, Chef. Also, I want to show you guys here. Remember, Chef was saying to include all your photos. So let's go take a look at all the pictures that you need, right? So you go to your assignment for week 7. This is very important because this is how you guys get graded, right? So you need your self-ID, your sanitizer bucket, your proper mise en place, right? Now one photo of each graded. Get them all together, cut them up, and put them all in the counter. One picture, right? Then you just make sure you show all the pictures that are required. So I would definitely pay attention to this because this is how the chefs grade your work. And also your narrative, they were talking about this. This is something you don't want to skip. It's very important for us to know how things went at your end. Also, it's a huge part of the learning process, and also your grades. So take your time, start early, and I'm looking forward for some really good dishes this week. And again, you can kind of tweak the recipes if you don't want to follow like this recipe for that pan sauce. Remember, you can make any kind of sauce you want. So if you have any questions about that, reach out to us, you guys. I mean, like I said, those recipes are just a guideline for you guys if you don't want to do something different. But if you want to try to maybe do like a citrus sauce with a chicken breast, like an orange citrus sauce, you can do that. Let us know. We can give you some tips and ideas on how to get them done. Start thinking like a chef, right? Expand your horizons, expand your ingredients that you're using, okay? So we want you guys to do that. All right, how you guys feel about this week? Everything good? Remember, we have a live session tomorrow with Chef Suzanne for your CU129 class at 6 p.m., right? And make sure you guys make it. It's going to be fun. That's a fun class. We're going to talk about the business side, right? As a chef, we need to know how to make some beautiful food, right? But we also need to know how to run a business, how to manage people, how to do all kinds of different things that doesn't have anything to do with cooking. Because I mean, that's a lot of work. I'm telling you guys, when you're like running a place and you get a break from the office work and you get to come down to the kitchen and cook, that's like a day off. I'm telling you, all the other stuff takes a lot of time, a lot of thinking. Because as a chef, you want a place to make money. You need to keep your team happy. You need to be creating menus. You need to do all kinds of stuff, okay? Because you're the face of the business of the restaurant, right? So you're going to learn all those important things in your business classes, right? Okay, one more question. Benjamin? Benjamin, are you there?
Yeah, I had a question. You're showing your picture about the puree.
Mm-hmm.
I know this gonna be a no, but can we reuse, could we wash our if we used our pastry bags, can we reuse those or no?
Yes, you can wash them and dry them up. Yeah, those
Okay.
are reusable.
Okay, I didn't know if they were or not, and I mean, because I know plastic holds anything plastic usually holds like bacteria and stuff. So that's why I
Yeah,
didn't know.
those bags you can reuse. You wash them, you sanitize them, and you dry them, and you use them again.
Okay, cool.
Just,
Thanks, Chef.
just like your cutting board, your
Yeah.
cutting board is made of plastic, right? As you keep those sanitation standards that you learned in week 1, keep on moving forward with those on everyday use, you're going to be good. Okay.
All right, thanks, Eric.
Yeah.
All right, you guys. Well, thank you so much for a great live session. Thank you for all your wonderful messages last week. I really appreciate your support. Thank you a lot. And I guess we'll see you guys tomorrow. Anything you want to add, Chef Suzanne, before we go for the night?
I'm very excited to see what's coming this week. I can't wait for these pictures. I'm hungry just thinking about what's coming. So
Well, chefs, one quick thing, extra credit. Do
Yes,
we
of
want?
course. You were saying about extra credit. Just, of course, we'd love to give extra credit.
Yeah.
here.
So, how do you guys feel that you guys get those submissions in to Chef Suzanne, myself, and Chef Caesar by end of day Sunday, and we'll get you some extra credit? Sound like a good idea? That work? Yeah.
And you know what? Some of you, and one more thing, some of you guys already have extra credit already in the bank from like week 1. I haven't even put it in there. So you know what? You never know when you're going to need it. Sometimes you get to our final week and then it's like, oh, when I added that, you get to an A. So you know what? Try it. Do your best, because I'm always going to, giving you guys every week something extra credit for you guys to, get your grades up. And
Another good reason for those guys that don't attend and only watch the archive to stick around and watch that archive all the way through to the end, right?
Yes, of course.
You never know when we're going to sling some extra credit your way.
All right, you guys. Well, thank you so much for doing an amazing job. I'm very happy. Let's keep going strong. We only got, like 5 weeks left, and then you guys are moving on to the next block. Let's all do this, right? If you're missing 1 or 2 assignments here, get them done, you guys. Reach out to me. Don't panic. But right now, you want to focus on your week 7. Then we can, next week, plan to make up any missing work. And once you do that, your new grade is going to replace the no grade you have, and you're going to be good, all right? So keep going strong. Whatever you need, reach out to us. Thank you, you guys. Thank you, chefs. Have a good night.
Thank you.
You guys are amazing, okay? Don't forget that.
bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.